The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking on your free time. Welcome to This Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of the Shit Podcast with our special segment, Sam and Ram at the Movies. Welcome back, Ram.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
It's cool, bro. We're doing a movie. Of course, you guys already saw it on the intro or on the title bar for the video. But we're actually going to talk about one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a very, very close movie for me.
Yeah, and see, I saw this movie. This was probably one of the first Tarantino films that I saw. Mm-hmm. And at the first time I saw it, I didn't really think that much of it. I thought, this is a weird movie. Of course, I was young. It's 1994.
Yeah.
And, of course, as time has gone on, it's become a cult favorite.
Yes, it has.
And we're going to be talking about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it's one of the great movies.
One of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you showed me your wallet. You actually have the wallet, bro. That's amazing. Which is the bad motherfucker wallet, you know? And so that's awesome. We know whose wallet that is. And we'll talk about different things. I mean, we only have 15 to 20 minutes to talk about this. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. What do you got?
Okay. Let's see. I have one interesting character. Esmeralda Villalobos, the cab driver from when Butch, the Bruce Willis character, leaves the gym where he had a fight. Well, this character, Esmeralda Villalobos, I thought it was just a character that Tarantino did, and it's not. It's based from a short movie from 1991 where she played a Colombian character where she used to work for the mob, cleaning houses where crimes had been committed.
Okay.
That's why she asking for the crime that...
The details.
Yeah. How did you feel when you killed somebody?
Yeah.
And well, she's barefoot, just like a Quentin Tarantino character. So when he saw that short film, he said, that character is for me. And so he put it in this movie. And I've been seeing some interviews where there are connections between all the Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
And I believe that all the movies that he's going to make, he already told us in his dialogues.
Okay.
So we have to watch them several times.
Yeah.
And I believe that this character will be like in 2 years.
A future movie.
Yes, for Tarantino. Okay.
And
you can how do you say that?
You can put
you can quote me on that.
You can quote me on that. Let me ask you, was it the same actress?
Yes.
It was the same actress.
Uh-huh.
It was the same actress from the original short film.
Yes.
That played her in the Tarantino movie.
Yes, the same name and everything.
Yeah. And so that's like a foreshadowing, or this movie Pulp Fiction was released in 1994.
94, yes.
Right. And she was in a film in 1991.
Yes.
So her driving the cab was before she became a cleaner for the mob, or after?
After she already was a cleaner for the mob. That's what she was. Or maybe she's trying to
see if she wants to get into that.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a prequel for that character. So
So that's interesting.
It's very interesting for Tarantino. Yeah. It's a great thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Vincent Vega's that character, played by John Travolta.
Yes,
He drove a 1964 Chevelle Malibu, right? It was stolen right after shooting the film. Sometime after shooting the film, not like cut and then they stole it.
A few weeks. I would say a few weeks.
Yeah, and that car actually was one of Quentin Tarantino's cars. And they actually stole that vehicle. And it'd been lost for like 20 years.
Yeah, that sucks, huh?
Yeah. Now, I read two different articles on this. One article said that the police recovered it because there was a couple of young guys working on it in the street, like doing body work to it. And they came by, and then, of course, they had probable cause, I guess, and they ran the VIN number, and they discovered that it was that missing Vincent Vega.
Wow.
I mean, Vincent Vega's car, that Malibu. The other article that I read actually said that car had been resold to somebody
I read that one.
That had kept it and then didn't know it was stolen.
Yeah, I read that one that somebody else had it, but legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know which one is true.
Okay.
But I thought it was very interesting that
Of course.
that car got stolen.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's weird because you wonder, did they know that it was the car from the movie when they stole it?
I don't think so.
Or was it just a coincidence? Or imagine you have this car for 20 years and then you realize that it was stolen and it was actually the one from Pulp Fiction. That's pretty amazing.
Very important car. Yeah, I would sell it. I mean,
Yeah. You would say, you're the guy that sold it right before they found out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a very, very cool movie. I also, when I watched the movie, I was 14. That was a movie that maybe made me like realize that I wanted to be in the movies.
Okay.
I mean, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I really enjoyed movies and I really enjoyed looking at them, paying attention. I remember watching The Godfather like 2 or 3 times in a month. Then watching Pulp Fiction. That movie made me watch the characters,
all the stuff
pay
they
attention. But one thing that I learned several years later was the cameos by Steve Buscemi and Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi was like 2 or 3 years ago that I learned that he's the waiter.
The Buddy Holly.
Yeah. It's he's very characterized, very different than we're used to seeing him. And Kathy Griffin, well, she was starting her career, I think. I don't know when she was starting to be a comedian. But I never realized that it was her during the crash scene when she says, Marcellus Wallace, if you want to sue, I can be a witness. Yeah. I mean, that was very interesting for me, right?
Yeah.
Those acting jobs.
Yeah, I read about that. Them doing those cameos. Also, when Steve Buscemi, right, is the bartender.
Yeah.
He asked them if they wanted a. What?
Amos and Andy or Abbott and Costello.
Okay, so what was an Amos and Andy?
That's chocolate.
And
sorry, yes. The other is vanilla.
Abbott and Costello was vanilla, right?
Yeah.
So that was a little like joke in there, like not an obvious joke, but pretty obvious.
I saw it like a slang.
Yeah.
Because Tarantino, I remember watching him he was once invited to, I believe, what's the other show? Not Dancing with the Stars, but when you sing.
America's Got Talent?
Yeah, that one. And he was invited as a judge.
Okay.
And every time he was giving his opinion on somebody, you could see a character like the characters he writes. He speaks like that.
Okay.
So I mean, in watching every character speak, it's like Tarantino.
Like you got Tarantino's essence.
Yeah, he's like here with you talking.
Yeah. And then so he would probably say, "What do you want? An Abbott and Costello or Amos and Andy?"
Yeah. Okay,
right.
I have chocolate, baby.
One of the most famous scenes in the movie is when Jules is quoting the Bible, Ezekiel 25:17. Totally made up.
I know. But I would love to read the Bible written by Tarantino. I mean, if hearing that verse, imagine the whole Bible.
Yeah. Except for they say like the last 2 lines were actually part of Ezekiel 25:17.
Okay.
But the whole first part of it was totally made up.
Man, more drama, huh?
Yeah.
And one thing that amazes me is the budget.
Yeah.
The movie cost $8 million.
Which is a very inexpensive for a movie.
But out of those 8, 5 were payments for actors and actresses. I mean,
so their budget was like $3 million.
$3 million.
$3.5 million.
Exactly. I mean, what do you do with $3 million?
You can kind of tell though. You can tell they're using Tarantino's car.
I know.
They shot the diner where they shot the opening scene in the diner. That was an actual diner in LA. I went looking for it. It's been demolished.
But I read that was the most expensive set in that movie. It cost about $200,000 to make.
Wow.
And the other ones were like, I have a warehouse. Let's see if like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Reservoir Dogs was his first movie, and this was his second movie. Mm-hmm. Speaking of budget, and the reason that the budget was so small, one of the things that I read about the budget was that they actually expected Tarantino to fail with Pulp Fiction. They expected him to fail because he had done so well with Reservoir Dogs that they thought that was a fluke.
Okay, like
right?
the curse, like the freshman curse.
Yeah, so your very first movie was the best.
Maybe you got lucky.
You got lucky. You're not going to be able to do it on the second. And there was a lot of criticism to this movie. And then so he releases the movie, and it does way better than expected.
A lot.
And I think it said it made 100 times its budget. Right?
A lot.
100 times its budget, which is $800 million. Right? And it took for it to break even, it took 178 days, which was to make I think it was to make like I don't know the number, but to make its money back, it took 100
like a couple of days. I mean, to make $8 million.
Yeah, I think it made its money back right away. I think to get to like the 100 million, the $100 million mark. I think that's what I read. It took like 178 days, which isn't a lot, really. It's half a year.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter did that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at the balance. But this was a small film. It was a small budget film.
Exactly. You don't have special effects like Harry Potter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great movie. I mean, it's a great movie. Yeah.
We know the character Jules was written for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Yes, because he did a casting job for Reservoir Dogs. And Tarantino loved him. He just loved him. And he said to him, okay, you're not going to be in Reservoir Dogs, but you're going to be in every movie that I make from now on. And he has been.
Yeah, he has.
He has, yes.
Yeah.
And especially in Pulp Fiction, in the end, when he says that he wants to retire, he wants to become a drifter and roam the world. A few years later, you see Kill Bill Volume 2, and you see that drifter, the musician that's in the church, and it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
A character written for him. I mean.
So he actually became the drifter when he retired, right?
Yeah.
I had found that same information.
Yeah, it's awesome for me. It's a wonderful movie.
Now, I remember that one of the most iconic things about the movie was the dance scene.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The dancing scene. The dance scene.
Yeah.
See? It's like a play on words, the dancing. But I remember everybody was doing this on different, like as a spoof or whatever. They're always doing this thing that, when you see them, when you see them get back to Mia Wallace's house, they have the trophy.
Yes.
Which makes you think they won. But if you pay attention, you know the detail, right? You can go ahead and say it.
No, you go ahead.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's actually an advertisement that or a bulletin that says that the trophy had been stolen. So they didn't really win the contest. They led you to believe. But they're such badasses that they actually didn't win, but they just went ahead and stole the trophy.
Yeah. Personality, baby. Goes a long way. Yeah, I love that scene. It's based on 2 movies that are favorites for a lot of people. One is a bande à part, and I don't know how to pronounce it in French, but it's so important for Tarantino that his movie company called A Bande à Part.
Okay.
And if you watch it, you can see it in YouTube. Just put that dancing scene from A Bande à Part, and it's like 2 guys and a girl which are very close friends. This movie is from the 60s, from the new French wave cinema. And they have a dancing scene that is very cool, right? In a bar. Then it's mixed up with a movie by Federico Fellini, which is called 8½.
Okay.
Which is a very surreal movie, a very interesting movie, and a very important movie to watch. Please do it. And there's a dancing scene too that is very similar to the Pulp Fiction one.
Yeah. And I heard there was also some argument over the music that they used for the dancing scene.
Yeah.
That the actress's name that played Mia
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Uma Thurman didn't like the song.
Okay.
And Tarantino was like, "It's perfect, trust me."
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, I don't know." And she was like, "I don't, like I could just imagine a typical actress. I don't know, this doesn't." And he was like, "No, we're gonna go with it. It's perfect. Believe me, I know what I'm doing with this."
Yeah.
And it makes total sense because you're talking about how he used those other 2 movies to influence this dance scene.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, now that you touched the soundtrack, I believe Tarantino has a very unique musical taste. That this movie, when you see any scene that has a special song, you're gonna stay and watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
just like that.
There's so many facts with the Pulp Fiction.
There's one that is a theory that I really like, but it ends up that it's just a coincidence. For example, the character Marcellus Wallace.
Yes.
The way we are introduced to him is a very negative way. We just see his back.
Yeah.
But there's a Band-Aid right on the back of his head. And we know that he's trying to get back a briefcase that we don't know what is it. We know that when you open it, it glows something very important, right? So there are theories that what's in the briefcase is Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Okay.
And the thing is that Tarantino is like 1/8 a Cherokee, something like that. And people say that he used that to emphasize something of his culture.
Okay.
But the thing is that Bing Rames, the actor, was shaving his head.
And he cut himself.
He cut himself. Okay. So he put a Band-Aid and Tarantino saw it and he said, perfect. That looks great, man. That looks great.
Leave it.
Yeah, I love it.
But it's cool how the theories come out after the fact, right?
Yeah. That's when the movie becomes a cult movie. When people start like asking questions about it, becoming interested about it, not just it's entertaining and that's it. No. Something bothers you, and you start looking for something.
Yeah. Let me see. The shit fact that I thought was something that we don't like. I've questioned it before, but I don't know. Like when there's directors that actually act in their own movies.
Okay.
How do they act and direct at the same time? Right. Clint Eastwood's famous for directing and acting.
It's tough.
It's tough, right?
Tough, yes.
So when Tarantino is acting, right? Robert Rodriguez is the director.
Yeah, su compadre.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's a Latino, right? So I thought that was a very interesting fact. It answered my question,
Those two guys are always working together.
Yeah. And they did, what was it? The vampire movie, Dusk Till Dawn. They did a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, Rodriguez makes music for Kill Bill and for many other movies.
And he's not credited as a director on the movie.
Oh, no. He's just like a guest.
Yeah, like a guest director.
Yep.
And, well, that's what I have for Pulp Fiction for this episode. I think we could do another one on this. You want to do the next one, Pulp Fiction Part 2?
No, let's do something.
Let's do something different.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do something different.
Yeah, we'll do like Tarantino, going back and forth.
Okay, let's do a Tarantino in the Spanish. The next Spanish episode, we'll do a Tarantino movie.
Okay, sure.
Yeah? Which one do you want to do? We'll build a little buzz.
Ezequiel 2517.
Nah, we'll leave it as a surprise for next time. But it'll be we'll do part 2 of a Tarantino movie. Man, there's so many movies.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, Christopher Waltz is like another one of those characters that
man, he's perfect.
Right, and so I'm not saying that that's what we're doing, Glorious Bastards, but we'll figure a Tarantino movie for the next episode.
Okay.
We'll decide it, and then it'll have to be a surprise for you guys.
All right.
With that being said, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Shit Podcast. Ram, thanks for being here again.
Thank you, man.
And I don't know if this is a good time to say it or not, but I think we're gonna get our own podcast, bro.
Cool.
I think we're gonna turn this into a full-time podcast. So please subscribe. Let your friends know, leave comments, allow us to do more of these episodes. With that, if you like the episodes, please leave your comments. I mean, that's good feedback. I can show the production that you guys like this segment, and maybe it turns into its own podcast. With that being said, thank you, Ram, for being here. How can people find you?
And Instagram is Dubis Boobies.
And you can find me as Tu Amigo Sam on my social media. And my YouTube. You can also find me on Está Cagado Podcast as my on all of the platforms for podcasts. And I have a social media page called Está Cagado Podcast. So go ahead and like that too, please. We appreciate it. Leave your comments, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you very much for joining us.